Secondly, when we're talking about playing towards your strengths, a strength that you have that younger players don't have, can't have, is your experience. Because there's a difference between skill and experience. Even the most hardcore, serious, studied younger players who study the game relentlessly, take it very seriously, are students of the game. They may be very well skilled, but because they're so young and you have 10 plus years of experience on them, their skill cannot replace your experience. With your experience should become the evolution of strategy, and that strategy should revolve around your physicality, trying to compensate for your lack of athleticism. What I mean is you need to know yourself, know your game, and strategize how you play so that you still are the most effective player you possibly can be, while at the same time using as little energy as possible. Not effort. There's a difference between effort and energy as well. What I'm talking about is you don't want to burn out your body, your physical presence on the court early in the game. You want to save yourself physically for the end of the game, where you can make the most difference because you have the most experience. In general, end of games, end of close games, that's veteran time. It's the veterans' time to win those close games. Not because we're better, not because we've been out here for longer and because of that we're inherently better than the younger players. It's just because of our experience. We can use that experience to know what are the best plays to make at the later stages of close games to win those close games more often than the younger players who don't have the experience, who don't know how to handle those situations yet. But if you find yourself at the end of a close game and you're physically burnt out, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're exhausted because you wasted the little energy you have at the beginning of a game, then it's not going to matter about how much experience you have at the end of a game if you don't have any energy to fuel whatever you need to do to get the job done and win end game kind of situations. So you should have a strategy in mind that says, okay, this is how I play that's going to allow me to be the most effective throughout the game, but at the same time allow me to use and burn as little energy as possible. For example, a very obvious example of this is if it's the beginning of a game and there's a loose ball, you as the older player, you don't chase that loose ball. You don't run after it. I've been out here so many dozens of times with older players who they find themselves on the court with young players and they're self-conscious about being the older guy and they want to try to prove themselves to the younger players, that these strangers that don't know him. So in order to do that, one of the things they do, one of the mistakes they make is like, okay, if there's a loose ball, I'm going to sprint after that loose ball and get it to prove and show the younger players that I'm still mobile, agile, like I still have gas in the tank. I'm still capable of doing that. That's a mistake, especially at the beginning of a game, the first half of a game, because that's energy that you're burning that you as an older player are not going to regenerate for that game. You're going to burn yourself out the more you do that. You as the older player have earned the right and hypothetically, theoretically, the respect of the younger players that, like, if there's a loose ball towards the beginning of the game, you as the older guy, the obviously older guy, you're not going to chase down those loose balls. You're not going to hustle and sprint for loose balls. Like, that's their job. They're younger. They're supposed to do that. It's your job, your responsibility to keep yourself in good enough shape and condition to be able to perform physically at the end of hypothetically, theoretically close games, and so you can make the right decisions and have the energy to execute those decisions in those key moments. And by execute, I'm not talking necessarily about scoring, because you're the old guy. Like, you are probably not going to be as an effective scorer as your teammates who are younger and more physically able than you are. I'm talking about being able to make whatever physical play is appropriate for that late game, close game situation. If you don't have the physicality to make the right pass or get the rebound or go for the right steal at the right time, if you just don't have the energy to do that because you burned it at the beginning of the game, then you're no use to your team.